Welcome to the RotoWire Fantasy Football Podcast, sponsored by Chalkboard, where you simply choose more or less on your favorite player stats. Went up to 5,000 times your entry. I am Jim Coventry. And before we begin, a little introduction, we'll get to our 5 instant reactions. We have to just make a note because I'm not going to talk about Colts Titans, but I gotta talk about Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor, what a season the man is having. Another 153 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns, a receiving touchdown, 21 yards there. Jonathan Taylor is playing at such an insane level of performance. It has been magical to watch every single week. Last week against the Chargers, 132 scrimmage yards. Arizona, 136 scrimmage yards. And he had a few games where the yardage wasn't quite there before that. But all said, Jonathan Taylor is completely going bananas. If he's on your fantasy team, rushing-wise, he has 15 rushing touchdowns, and we are only halfway through the season. Yeah, I'm counting 3 games of 3, a 2 and a 1. So that's 12. Oops, little math issue there. 12. And then through the air, he has 2. So that's 14 total touchdowns he has in 8 games. Completely insane. That entire Colts offense, they don't have to do a lot. And that's something I'm saying. That's one of the problems. They don't have to do a whole lot. So, is what it is there. But anyway, very exciting there. Also, another note before I get into my 5 instant reactions, Falcons, simply embarrassing. Just simply embarrassing. Playing at home, and I know Kirk Cousins was the quarterback, and I know Drake London was out. This defense had been playing really well. The run game was playing exceptionally well. Miami took them to the woodshed, 34-10. It looked like Miami was a team that was checked out. Didn't see them even being competitive. It's the NFL. You show up every week because you never know what's going to happen. But this is a bad one. And there was a point where the Falcons had a chance. They were down 14 in the third quarter. They were driving. Bijan Robinson fumbled the ball. And at that point, then it just snowballed from there, and it was all over. Couple other points before we get into our 5 instant reactions. Saquon Barkley suffered a groin injury late. He said after the game he's confident he'll be back for next week's game. He was on the sideline smiling. He went into the blue tent, came back on the sideline, wasn't getting medical attention. So probably he's correct that he's fine, but something to keep an eye on. And you know what? Just in case I don't mention it later, Tank Bigsby might be a player because he got moved up to the second spot and he played really well. So in case the long shot Barkley is, size to sit, make a preemptive claim on him if you can get to him next week. Cam Scadaboo, terrible. Dislocated ankle. Very sad. The young man is all what's good about football. Very sad to see the injury he suffered. I'm sure it's long-term, and we're very upset for him. Quinshon Judkins injured shoulder. They have a bye next week. We're not sure what that is. And let's get to instant reaction number 1 now. The Jets stun the Bengals just when we thought the Jets couldn't get any worse. The Jets go 39-38. What a wild game this was. The Bengals were in control pretty much the whole thing. The Bengals had a pretty good lead for much of the game. It didn't look like they were going to get threatened. They were up 24-13 at the half, 31-16 going into the fourth quarter. But you know how this wild NFL goes, and that's what happened in the fourth quarter. So let's start out with the winners. Justin Fields throws 1 touchdown pass, only runs for 31, and yet they win. Could you see that one coming? With the receivers, he had Tyler Johnson leads with 3 catches, 64 yards, and a touchdown. Again, Tyler Johnson has been bouncing around teams, capable of doing some things, but he never sticks anywhere. So, but he did it. But the big player here was Breece Hall and really Isaiah Davis, the running backs. They just ran the ball down the Bengals' throats. Breece Hall, only 18 carries, 133 and 2 touchdowns. And at the end of the game, he throws the game-winning touchdown pass to Mason Taylor. So if you're the box score hunting and you're not looking for Breece Hall in the passing column, remember, if you had him, you're going to get 4 points if you're 4-point per passing touchdown league. So Breece Hall finally has that monster game. He's probably hurt your team a lot to this point. Isaiah Davis, 7 for 65, and he catches 5 for 44 as well. Again, we think there's a very good chance that Breece Hall gets dealt away in the next week. And Isaiah Davis is what they have, and he's a talented player. So if he's still sitting out there on your waiver wire, you definitely want to make it a move to get him. But all that said, I don't know how the Jets did it. They were giving up points, but then Cincinnati, they kind of lost some urgency on offense, and I have to rewatch that game because it was so insane how it just got away from Cincinnati. And it's like they weren't playing horribly at any point in time. It's like every time I looked, they were just moving the ball. Flacco, 21 of 34, 230, 223, 2 touchdowns. He ran in a short touchdown. Fine for fantasy if you started him, of course. 3 touchdowns, 1 on the ground. You're going to take that all day long. Jamar Chase, what a slacker. Only 19 targets, 23 last week, 19 targets. Isn't that crazy? 12 for 91. The volume is just ridiculous. So Chase gets 19, T. Higgins, 2. Fortunately, he caught a 44-yard touchdown. So if you start him as his 3rd straight good game with Flacco, look, is what you wanted? No. But again, you're looking at, 11.4 PPR points on 1 catch. So you'll take it, right? I think so. I would take it too. Noah Fant, 3 for 41. Fant gets 3 to 4 catches every game. So again, if you're in that super flex, that's tight end premium league, and he has some usefulness on bye weeks and things like that. Not much else. Chase Brown, again, just like the Jets, both running backs got rolling here. Chase Brown, only 12 carries to 9 for Samaje Perine. That one, it was a head scratcher there because Brown is like kicking tail. And I know Perine had a 32-yard touchdown. And he looks great, but it's like, I don't know, your explosive ability just goes higher with Chase Brown. You can make more out of some of the runs where Perine's not grinding it in. Brown could do more with that. And they lose this game. And you got to maximize it. I don't know. It's almost like get the triplets out on the field and just go with it. But Brown, 73 yards and a touchdown on the ground as a receiver, 3 for 32 and another touchdown. So again, he did very well for his best fantasy game. Obviously, his best game was like 12 or 13 PPR points. I think 12 was it. And this one obviously blew that away. He had 13 as a runner alone, and he had another 12 as a receiver. So great game there. If you started Perine in a pinch, though, you were happy with obviously the 9 for 94 and a touchdown. But that 12 to 9, that was really, really close on the carry. So we'll see how that goes forward. But I mean, again, never really know what the Bengals are doing. So, but I really didn't think that was the best way to handle it. They lose the game. They shouldn't have. I again, rewatch them, but I can't quantify it. But for fantasy, pretty good bonanza. If you got stuck starting Justin Fields back to the other side, I mean, at the end of the day, he got you 19, 20 points. So you didn't turn the ball over. So you got to be happy with that at least. So, but better than, the 7 and the 9 he put up before. So anyway, elevate your game with the ultimate sports contest, Mega Sports Progressive. Dive into a world of excitement with 3 progressive jackpots and a chance to win big every week and every month. We're rewarding 1,500 lucky winners, distributing over $50,000 in monthly prizes. All you do is answer 15 daily sports props, add up your correct responses for the week's cash prizes, tally the week's totals for huge monthly cash rewards. Mega Sports Pro makes it fun and easy to join. It's a thrilling opportunity to be part of a growing community of sports enthusiasts. You sign up today and unlock a chance to win big every day, every week, and every month. Sign-up's free, no commitments, no credit cards. Your first 9 days of play are free. Visit megasportspro.com today. Instant reaction number 2. Saquon Barkley gets the eruption game. Eagles 38, Giants 20. We talked about it at the top of the show, and I'll start on the other side because I was very frustrated for Cam Scadaboo. Like I said earlier, he's one of these players, energetic, having fun out there. It's what football's about. And Cam Scadaboo, unfortunately, gets injured there. So, a dislocated ankle. Surgery tonight, I believe. This is being recorded on Sunday, so depending when you're watching this. So, yeah, poor man's going to be down for a while. It looks like, don't know how long, but yeah, it's a rough one. So, feel bad. Tyrone Tracy we'll talk about them on your side in a minute. Let's go to the Eagles side. So, Eagles side. Again, Jalen Hurts doesn't throw for a lot of yards. Last week he threw for a ton of yards. Like it was 300 plus last week. Only 179 because he only attempted 20 passes, 4 touchdown passes. So Jalen Hurts, he continues to have that amazing floor for fantasy. He hasn't had the ceiling games that we would have liked to have seen. He hasn't had the rushing yardage. The rushing yardage has been way down. He had 4 rushes for 22 yards in this game. He's not looking to make any big plays on the ground. It's like he's immediately looking to slide, and maybe that's smart. Maybe that's smart. But I'm looking back through the game logs with the rushing yards, see if I can find there. Yeah, here are his last 5 games rushing: 22, -10, 13, and 3. Last 4 games is made. Early in the season, he had a 40 and a couple 60s, completely gone. But at least, like we said, 7 touchdown passes in the last 2 weeks. So Jalen Hurts, again, retains that floor. Saquon, from the beginning, he ripped off a 65-yard run really early in that game for a touchdown, and it just looked like last year's Saquon Barkley. It was like, oh my goodness. Hey, he played the Giants a few weeks ago, almost 5 yards of carry in that game. Well, he went for 11 yards, almost 10 point something, 14 for $150 a touchdown. Not enough. Caught 4 for 24, added another touchdown. So Barkley detonates in this one. Fantasy managers excited. Now, I told you earlier, late in the game, fourth quarter, early, had a longer run he broke, and then he, you could tell he had he didn't look like he was quite right. Went to the medical tent. He came back out quickly, went to the sideline, no medical people near him. So he said it was a groin injury. He said he expects to play next week on Monday night, I believe. So take him at his word for this. But Tank Bigsby goes 9 for $104. It came out of nowhere because Shipley was the backup. We had seen Bigsby inactive a number of games, but Bigsby was the clear number 2 in this one. So that was very interesting to see. But until that, well, yeah, because last week Bigsby had 1 carry, and then he had that was his first carry last week with the Eagles. It was 1 for 11 against Minnesota, and then obviously he exploded today. So if you're doing the get the backup running back thing, yeah, you definitely want to make sure. And if you're rostering Barkley and you're going to go to Monday night and maybe it's a game time decision, if you're on Fab, you might be aggressive with the Tank Bigsby bid because, you don't want to take a chance of not having a running back. And at least if you have Bigsby, you got somebody in there. So there's that. It probably is a timeshare with Shipley and Bigsby. From what we saw with Bigsby, he probably get a good shot. The passing game, like I said, only 179 yards. Dallas Goedert, his touchdown rate is through the roof. His catches are minimal, but his touchdowns are maximum. 3 catches, 2 touchdowns. So he cashes again for fantasy. Devontae Smith, 6 for 84. Fine game. Dotson got a touchdown late. The game was over, but Hurts threw, deep pass. He was open. So if you started him just on a dart throw flex, hoping for the best, it worked out. It worked out real well. So again, they didn't have to do a lot. They were in control of this game throughout, and it was a Barkley game, and it was a Bigsby game, and Hurts got the touchdown. So again, maybe not getting competition, but I don't even care. Philly's making a comeback. They're looking better. Last week they get the pass game going. Maybe as a result, film was out, and so no, the Eagles play next Monday, don't they? The Eagles have their bye ready, didn't they? I thought Barkley had a week 5 bye. I'll tell you in a second. Maybe he didn't. Yeah, Barkley had his bye already. I'm pretty sure. Anyway, I'll look back at that and I'll check. But I thought that I had have his schedule there. All right. So all that said, 1, 2, 3. All right, we'll have to see. They play the Packers on 11-10. So maybe it is. Oh, yeah. So Eagles do have a bye next week. All right. So that's good. So they play the Packers. So that gives him almost 2 weeks to rest up. Thanks, Uncle Ted, for that one. Good call on that. Glad you caught me on that. All right. So next thing, we go to the Giants side of the ball. How much do you hang on Jackson Dart here, right? I mean, you lose Scadaboo early. He threw the touchdown pass to Scadaboo. Great play design, wide open, little, swing out to him, walked in the end zone uncovered. So, yeah, and repeating on thanks, best ball on call. It is a bye for the Eagles. Like, so that's good for Barkley. It gives him 14 days. I think the next game is a Monday. So that gives him plenty of time to heal up if it's not a major injury, which it looks like not right now, like it's not. Good call on that, everybody. Dart goes 14 to 24, 193 and a touchdown. He only ran for 70, but he ran in a touchdown. So again, because of the rushing touchdown, he gets you about 20 fantasy points. And so what are you going to say? Every game he's played, he's gotten 20 or more fantasy points. So he's a quarterback 1. And now is losing Scadaboo. How much does that have an impact? I think he's going to have some, because defense are not going to worry about Tyrone Tracy. They're not going to worry about Devin Singletary. We'll talk about those guys in a minute. But yeah, I think that defenses are just going to take a real different approach to them. But Dart's gotten it done so far. And Brian Dable, we saw it with Daniel Jones years ago. He had that one magical season. Smoke and mirrors work for a while. And he'll come up with some new stuff for Dart. And Dart will keep running. So I think that maybe Dart isn't as strong of a fantasy option now as he was with Scadaboo. but I think he's still in that discussion for quarterback one because of the running. You understand? Tim Tebow was a quarterback one. I talk about that all the time. All right. So anyway, with the backfield now, with Scadaboo out, I'm just say out. I don't know how long. I know it's bad. Maybe it's season ending, right? But so Tracy goes 10 carries, 39 yards. Singletary gets 2 carries, no yards. Singletary caught a really nice 28-yard pass down the sideline. Very nice. But here's what my thing's going to happen. I told everybody this before the season. Tyrone Tracy was weeks 5 to 10 last year. He's 5.4 yards a carry. He was never intended for a workload because as soon as that they came out of their bye, he fell to like 3.4. He lost 2 full yards per carry after the bye. He cannot be a workhorse. And if he is, it'll be 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and then he'll just tail downhill. But he's actually this year, he's not even as effective as he was for, in the early part of last year. So this is going to be a timeshare. I don't know that either running back's going to make a lot of it. I mean, Tracy will have a week or two here and there. He definitely have a week or two where you're like, oh yeah, this works. But I think counting on him, I think it's not going to be last year's version. I think that cat's out of the bag. He had that quick success and that was it. Singletary, it's so funny. I mean, you obviously wouldn't start him with any confidence, but if you're a players injured, players on buys, and you're looking at a flex, he never goes away. It's like this guy always finds a path to work somehow, some way. But that's it. Tracy is the lead guy. He is the waiver wire pickup this week because he has to be because he is the starting running back. So it is an important waiver claim. So if he's out there, and I know in competitive leagues, more competitive, he's not out there. But I was running my waiver numbers. I want to say it was a pretty good number of leagues he was available. Those are Yahoo leagues. That's across all gamuts. Obviously, competitive leagues. Tracy's uses a flex in some of those already. Obviously, we cater to all kinds of leagues, so we have to frame it that way, right? Wan'Dale Robinson. So 3 for 48, 4 targets. The Eagles didn't give up much through the air. They coached against them 2 weeks ago. Fangio already kind of knew what they had. I was worried about it because last game Quinion Mitchell left real early, and we know Jalen Carter didn't play that game. So I kind of knew that Fangio would have a lot of answers for this offense. And again, Scadaboo went out. It could have been a different story, but the passing game didn't work. I'm not worried about Wan'Dale Robinson. He's slippery. He can play in the slot. He can play outside. He is going to get his targets, especially with Scadaboo out. Now, they're going to really have to be a pass-heavier team now. They can't go into a game saying, we're going to grind you down. They could do that with Scadaboo. If they thought they could hang, they could go in and say, we're going to run 25 times. They could do that. They can't do that now. So Wan'Dale Robinson, his value continues to go up as long as the young man stays healthy, which you hope that's all year long. He's in prime position. Darius Slayton, he led the team with 5 targets, only 2 for 26. But again, based on matchups, Slayton is a good player. And we haven't seen enough of Jackson Dart throwing deep to really know what his acumen is there. But I still think Slayton is going to be involved here. So I do think if he's sitting in your waiver wire, he's somebody you got to consider because, like I said a minute ago, I think the Giants are going to throw more than they want. And then Theo Johnson, only 3 for 20. Daniel Bellinger, I hope he's fine. He left with a neck injury, but if he's out for a period of time, again, it's just more snaps that Johnson may be on the field. Bellinger had a target. Well, maybe that target goes to Theo Johnson. So just interesting, but Slayton is somebody you could look at there as well. So anyway, Eagles 38 and the Giants 20. The Eagles moved to 6-2 and the Giants moved to 2-6. All right, it's football season. The best place to catch the games is Circa Resort and Casino in downtown Las Vegas, featuring the best pool in history, Stadium Swim. Stadium Swim has 3 levels, 6 pools, and a 143-foot diagonal screen. Whether it's Thursday, Sunday, Saturday, or Monday, I got my days screwed up there. Stadium Swim's America's favorite place to watch football. No matter the size of your group, Stadium Swim is the place for you. From owner suites to cabanas, day beds to stadium booths, there are seating choices for everyone. The best part, Stadium Swim is open 365 days a year. With temperature controlled pools, it's a great place to catch the games all season long. Stadium Swim, located at Circa Resort and Casino in downtown Las Vegas. Book today at circalasvegas.com. We have instant reaction number 3. Drake Maye dominates the Cleveland Browns. 32-13, Patriots win this one. Not close at all. Earlier on, it was close. First half, maybe mid to late second quarter. I want to say like 7-6, somewhere in that point. It was saying close. Drake Maye is so fun to watch. And his schedule's been easy, so I don't think we're appreciating what he's doing here because he is masterful. He finds different ways to win. And well coached. Now, Myles Garrett sacked him 5 times. tip of the cap to Myles Garrett, 5 sacks. That was one of the most insane games. Obviously, not the Derek Thomas 7 of way back in the day. 5 sacks in a game. Insane, Myles Garrett. But Drake Maye, 18 to 24, 75% completion rate against this Cleveland defense. 282, 3 touchdowns. Threw a pick, didn't read a defender. It was like kind of right in front of the linebacker in front of him. Big deal. It's not like a problem for Drake, but I'm not worried about it at all. And then it's not enough. Drake Maye runs for 50. So Drake Maye, certainly here, obviously quarterback 1 all year. I put him in the quarterback 8 range. The spike games will be there. And 8 range is good. I mean, you can even move up to 7 or so. Mahomes obviously he's moving up to the top tier, been up to the top tier now. So, but Drake May's a great start every week. And I would look at the rankings, and maybe he goes as high as 6. Baker Mayfield, as long as players are hurt, that could be an issue there. So just something to be cognizant. But Drake May is just amazing. And so again, it's just a matter of just can't get Kayshon Boutte targets. He got 5 in this one, so let's get greedy. So at least it's a start. And again, Boutte 3 for 75 and a touchdown. He has at least 43 yards, like 4 straight games, and that's on limited targets. He just continues to rock, and he is such a good outside receiver. I think the coaching staff is going to figure out they've got to make sure, and I know they want to run, and I know they want to have some conservatism, but I really think they're going to have to figure out that he has to be part of their solution. Now, unfortunately, Stephon Diggs gets 5 targets, 3 for 14 and a touchdown. So down game. I thought this would be against man coverage. I thought he would beat a lot of that. It's just a weird game for him. It just didn't work out so well. And then Hunter Henry, 1 catch, but it was a 7-yard touchdown. So if you started him, you could live with that. But again, it's like, here's the deal. Diggs and Henry, right? Outstanding players. Henry back to last year, even though he was playing well, he'd always seem to get like trumped by Austin Hooper. Like Hooper, 2 for 38 in this one. It's like, I mean, it's great for the team has 2 tight ends, but man, Hunter Henry got like sniped so many times last year by Hooper. And then Stephon Diggs, who does he get sniped by? Mac Hollins. Mac Hollins, 7 for 89, team leading 7 targets. Now, look, Mac Hollins is a great blocker, and he can make some plays too. But honestly, are we really going to give Mac Hollins all these targets at the expense of Diggs and Boutte, who are, Boutte's the future of your team. Diggs is your culture guy. Call it what you want, but they bring the veteran culture to that. They bring him in for that. So I just, again, they win, so it doesn't really matter. But it's just so weird seeing Mac Hollins eating all day, and it just didn't make a lot of sense. But we're fantasy guys. This is the fantasy hat right now. It's not the NFL hat. I get Mac Hollins as an NFL player. He has a lot of, helpful points there. Now, other side of the ball, Dylan Gabriel did throw 2 touchdowns. He had a wide open Harold Fannin on a short one in the first half. Ends up 2 touchdowns, 21 of 35, 156. Throws a couple of picks. Judkins didn't. The Patriots did a great job. They didn't give Judkins room to run. 9 for 19. And teams have been gunning for Judkins since he took over, but the Patriots did a really good job. And then Judkins dinged up a shoulder. Didn't come back. He ruled him out. Now, they were losing big at the time. Now, Cleveland, I do believe they also have a week 9 bye. So depending on the severity of this injury, he has 2 weeks to get healthy for the next game. So hopefully Judkins is ready to rock then. But it was disappointing. You get 3 catches for -2 yards. So in your PPR league, at least he got 4.9 instead of just the 19 rush yards. So that kind of worked out as well. Fannin and Njoku, they were the only productive receivers. Each scored a touchdown. Fannin was 6 for 62. And Njoku coming off the knee injury, 4 for 37. So there was that. So, but that's that offense. That whole offense right now. And Jerry Jeudy goose egg on 2 targets. Don't even know what to do with that. I mean, there's too few deeper leagues I've got him on rosters. I don't play them, but I mean, you got to drop anybody. You can't put him in your lineup. I just can't see that happening. So anyway, but it's just tight end centric and then run the ball. And then when Judkins doesn't get going, it's a real problem. So there's that. But again, they're on a bye. Don't know if they're going to make any deals. I wonder if they'll trade off Jeudy. I don't know what his contract is, but I could see, I don't know if they have something to do with that, but that would be interesting to see. But I'm not sure what his contract status is off the top of my head. All right, again, Patriots 32, Browns 13. We'll go over more of this week's reactions after we take a short break. All right, everybody. Instant reaction number 4. CJ Stroud, nearly flawless in a winning effort today. Texans 26, 49ers 15. Great game. Now, the first half, the time of possession was something like 6 minutes for the 49ers. It was like some ungodly low number. The Texans control the ball the entire half. And what happened was at the end of the half, actually the 49ers got the ball back with like a minute, and they were able to they scuffled together a late touchdown to George Kittle. So they go into the half down 16-7. So despite like not even possessing the ball, and it had a ripple effect because the 49ers only ran 42 offensive plays, 32 passes because they were trailing, and only 10 rushing attempts, but 8 of those were McCaffrey. The other 2 were quarterback runs. So pretty insane there, right? So yeah, so Mac Jones, 193, 2 touchdowns. You started him, you were fine. I'll get to the winning side in a second here. McCaffrey, it was a rough one. 8 for 25 on the ground, 3 for 43 through the air. So again, you got about 68 scrimmage yards, 3 catches. It was by far his worst game of the season, but he got close to 10 PPR. So again, you're probably not going to be like, you wanted more, but how greedy can he get? There had to be a market correction at some point. Kittle, 4 for 43 and a touchdown. Again, not what you wanted. We kind of thought they could take advantage of Houston in the middle of the field. The touchdown catch by Kittle was sick. There were 3 defenders in the neighborhood. I'll just say in the neighborhood. They were all there. 2 of them were like right there. And I have no idea, A, how the ball got into Kittle's hands, and B, how Kittle was able to pull the ball in. It was incredible. And I want to watch that in slow motion replay. I do have to watch the touchdown again, and make sure you do if you want to see it. It was insane. Other than that, though, 45 yards, the leading receiver, Jawan Jennings. He dropped a potential touchdown pass. That could have really changed his fantasy fortune. But the Houston defense, we know that it's a legitimately rugged unit. And with the 49ers not possessing the ball and then trailing big, it really put them at a disadvantage. The 49ers need to be playing a neutral game script to really run their offense. They need the way they need to right now. And it's just one of those things against the type of defense, you can't get away with it for so long. So that's it. CJ Stroud, 30 of 39, 318, 2 touchdowns a pick, and he ran for 30 yards. Beautiful game for CJ Stroud. From the rushing perspective, both Woody Marks and Chubb were effective. Chubb less effective, 17 for 56, running some grinder work. Marks, 11 for 62, and then he added as a receiver. Woody Marks came in with 4 for 49. So great day for Woody Marks, goes over 100 scrimmages, 111 to be exact. So great game for him there. It is a 2-man backfield. They don't, it appears to me, they don't want Woody Marks doing the grinder work. And I understand. I understand Nick Chubb needs to take the grinder carries. The offensive line's not good. You don't want to get Marks all beat up behind that line. So you get him in space a little bit, and it works out nice. He's a really good player, though. The receivers, it was all over the board. It was like everybody ate a little. Xavier Hutchinson had the best game, 5 for 69 and a touchdown on 6 targets. Don't know, couldn't predict it, But then basically the leader in targets was Higgins, 4 for 34, but he scored a touchdown as well. So that worked out. Braxton Berrios was heavily involved, 5 for 38. So, in Jalen Knoll, 5 for 63. So, it's funny because I was in the Start Sit show, and, we were talking about different players that were, good options here. I never saw a world where you would have 4 wide receivers with no Collins and no Kirk. 4 wide receivers have very similar games, but all be productive because that offensive line has made it really hard for Stroud to have good games. And I think finally with the 49ers, I think the injury just caught up with him today. The good game plan by Houston, CJ Stroud, he knew where his reads were, and he didn't wait. He just pulled the trigger on the passes, got him going, and he just got in a rhythm. And he's a great quarterback, and it worked out. In the 49ers' lack of pass rush here, that was a problem because you get Stroud under too much pressure, like any quarterback, it's a problem. But Texans came out, looked really strong here, 26-15. Cash in on your NFL picks of the season with Chalkboard. Simply choose more or less in your favorite player sets to win up to 5,000 times your money. For a limited time only, new players receive a free pick and 100% deposit match. See why over 1 million fans have already locked in with Chalkboard to turn their sports knowledge into cold, hard cash. Whether you're locking up the perfect slip with alternate lines, using the cash out feature to take your money and run, or hammering the daily promos, today is your chance to win up to $40,000 on a single entry. Stop sitting on the sidelines and get into the game with Chalkboard Fantasy Sports, now available in 30-plus states. You download Chalkboard today and use the promo code ROTONFL. That's ROTONFL to claim your free pick and 100% deposit match right now. All right. Instant reaction number 5. The Ravens expose the Bears. The Ravens 30, the Bears 16. Before I get into this, I'm going to tell you, we get a ton of start sit questions every week, and I do the start sit show every 2 hours for main kickoff every Sunday where you're watching this right now. The RotoWire has a start sit tool that we just updated. It's free to anyone on non-game day. So Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. You can check it out by going to RotoWire, look up the start sit tool. But if you want it on game days, you got to be a subscriber. And so you could, if you subscribe, I can get you 15% off at rotowire.com. You use the code YouTube15. So again, it's part of a subscription on game days, Thursday and Sunday, but the other days it is free to check out, and you should check it out. All right, Ravens 30, Bears 16. No Lamar Jackson. And of course, after the NBA scandal last week, everybody's like, oh, now this is, you can't do this with Lamar Jackson. Oh my God, I'm just so tired of hearing all the complaining. It is what it is. We deal with this every week in football. Players on the injury report. And I guess they did something a little bit off. Jackson ran the practice squad. And so, they were supposed to report it differently. So gamesmanship, but yeah, all right, they need to fix that. But Tyler Huntley, the Bears defense, look, sometimes Dennis Allen cooks up a gem. But that defense, they were down 2 corners. The injuries do catch up with them. And Dennis Allen, it's like he brings that A game when he has like a game where he has a point to prove. He did that in New Orleans too. He'd play a team where the offense looked they were a little down, and he just wouldn't dial it up. And Baltimore, I mean, with no Lamar Jackson, you're probably not really getting super up for that one. Anyway, Derrick Henry, 21 for 71, but he scores 2 touchdowns. So at least that worked. Zay Flowers leads with 7 for 63. So Tyler Huntley does fine. And I was surprised Bateman went 2 for 51. I told people I like Bateman, but that's with Lamar. That's not with Huntley. So, but to even get that out of Bateman, fine. But when I tell you I like Bateman, it's more like a wide receiver 5 thing. It's not like, oh, he's going to be a wide receiver 2 the rest of the way. No, like a wide receiver 5, plug him in when you need him, and go with that. Mark Andrews, 3 for 34. Of course, Charlie Kohler scores a touchdown. Awesome, right? But anyway, it was a good home effort by the Ravens. The Bears, they don't get a great pass rush, which really helps. Down 2 corners. And so the Ravens were just able to run a nice conservative offensive attack. And it worked really well for them. Yeah, Keaton Mitchell did have a nice run to the outside. He had a 25-yard run to the perimeter. So fast. So good to see him healthy, for sure. The Bears side, well, really, what do I tell you here? Caleb Williams, 3rd bad fantasy game in his last 4, I believe. Throws for 285, 25 of 38, no touchdowns, an interception. It was garbage time, the last play of the game. DJ Moore was wide open in the back of the end zone, and I got to rewatch it. He missed it by 5 feet. It wasn't close. I don't know what happened there. So they could have gotten like a cheapy touchdown, which you'll take that for fantasy. Didn't get it. Odunze, 7 for 114. So his 2nd game over 70 yards this season. So so that works out for him. 10 targets leads him. DJ Moore had 7, 4 for 73. So again, that was one of his better games, 11.3 PPR. You just got to reframe him right now because they were getting him involved out of the bye. It was the first game against Washington. His first half was good, but then remember, he got hurt twice, and then the weather got sloppy. And then last week, I'm trying to remember the game situation. It was a blowout last week. They ran the ball all day. They didn't have to pass. But they were getting more and more. Not like he's going to play like I thought he would, but I think the double-digit thing is going to be what you're going to get in many games. And you just got to reframe it. Frame him as a flex or a wide receiver 3. He's not going to be a wide receiver 1 or 2. That ship is probably sailed. But if you get double-digit PPR points, you're probably going to fit in many leagues. Like if you're in the competitive leagues, you need a flex. So there's that. But Colson Loveland, 3 for 38 on 5 targets. It was fine. But like I was kind of saying, I go, well, yeah, Cole Kmet's out, but how many targets was Cole Kmet getting? It wasn't like, oh, now you got 7 targets. He wasn't getting many targets. But good to see Loveland involved, though. Zacchaeus with 7 targets. I think that's a problem. 7 for 33. Ravens weren't getting consistent pressure. We're getting some pressure. And Williams maybe was bailing out a bit. But Ben Johnson's got some work to do. They were making strides early in the season. And the running game really didn't get going. They were trailing. That was part of it. Swift, 11 for 45. He did score a touchdown, so that helped. Kyle Monangai, people could ask me start-sit questions. He had carries last week because it was a double-digit win. Every other game, he's 4 to 7 carries. That's what he gets. If 4 to 7 carries does it for you, then great. Doesn't do it for me. And he 7 for 24. That's your game. He was never an option in any league that I would consider him this week. unless I thought they were going to blow somebody out, and I didn't think they were going to blow out the Ravens. So just be careful with that. But Derrick Henry, all the crew should be good. Lamar is expected back Thursday Night Football. They have Patrick Ricard back. That means, like I keep telling you, defenses with those two in the field, they're going to play ultra heavy personnel. That means, like last year, the downfield game opens up. It hasn't been open much of the year, but that's why Rashad Bateman and that's why Mark Andrews are going to snap back up, because defenses can now play them the way they had to play them last year. Because if you don't, then they just gash you with the run all day, and you won't let the Ravens do that because they get explosive there. And we want to thank our sponsor, Chalkboard, where you simply choose more or less on your favorite players. That's went up to 5,000 times your money. And thanks to everyone for listening. Come back next week for another edition of the RotoWire Fantasy Football Podcast.